For the first time in quite a while, we're back on the channel today, and for once, we aren't talking primarily on transfer news regarding Wrexham Football Club. Today, I'm going to be bringing you a Wrexham Roundup of everything that's happened at the football club over the past couple of weeks. We're going to be talking injuries, of course we're talking transfer news in there, we're going to be talking about pre-season, and much more coming your way. So before we do get into today's video, if you're looking for the best Wrexham content, feel free to click the red subscribe button. It's free, and we're on the road to 28,000 subscribers. At the time of recording, we're just over 100 away. So if you are watching this and you look down there and you're not subscribed to the channel, you can do so. It doesn't cost a penny. And without further ado, let's get talking first on some big injury news. I'm glad we're making moves in the summer transfer window, because it seems like Wrexham at the minute have sort of hit a mini injury crisis as we conclude our pre-season and enter the championship campaign, as we're just 16 days away from our opening day fixture away at Southampton. And it's fair to say quite a list is being made from injured players at the minute. We're going to be talking first on our key player in midfield, Ollie Rathbone. Now, Rathbone is likely to miss the opening day of the season away at Southampton, as he sustained an ankle injury in the game against Sydney on our Down Under tour. It didn't look too serious at the time. Of course, he came off straight away, and then after the game, Parky confirmed he has gone to hospital, and luckily it's not a broken ankle for Ollie Rathbone, but he's going for an MRI scan and he is going to be reassessed in a few weeks. In the meantime, he is in a protective boot, so I think that all but confirms that Rathbone is not going to be in contention for Southampton, and possibly even the whole City game on the Tuesday and the following weekend at home to West Brom, because if he's in a protective boot in a few weeks, and if they're going to reassess him obviously in 2 or 3 weeks, then there's no chance, in my opinion, that he is going to be part of the squad going into Southampton. It'll be a bit of a push if he is going to be in contention for, back in training at a time, light training, and then getting back in contact training. I do think it's very slim that we see Rathbone involved, but I think the only positive to this is the fact that it's not a broken ankle, and it could have been a lot worse for Ollie Rathbone. Yes, he's going to be missing those big games, but it means he's probably going to be missing 2 or 3 games instead of 7, 8, 9, 10. Talking next on our striker Jack Marriott, some more injury news from our Down Under tour in Australia. Marriott was unfortunately taken to hospital to have his appendix removed. Now, having a look at some brief research, the typical recovery time for a removed appendix is 3 to 4 weeks, and they recommend no contact sports are played in the meantime when they are recovering. So it's going to be another player that's ticked off the list for not being involved in the matchday squad against Southampton. He'll probably return to light training and doing some off the ball stuff possibly in the next 2.5-3 weeks, but again, Southampton is just over 2 weeks away. I think that's another player that we can chalk off for being in the squad. Now, another striker, Sam Smith, our January transfer signing. Now, Smith again wasn't involved in any of the games in our pre-season tour in Australia. It's still actually unclear what the injury is for Sam Smith. Parky hasn't really given any clarification on what the injury is. He's just said that he's still recovering and he's working on it off the pitch. Of course, we saw him play no role at all, but he still travelled out with his squad for obviously our games in Australia and New Zealand. I think that was really important that he still was in the matchday squad and still was sort of involved in what they were doing on and off the pitch. To be honest, I think there's more of a chance that Smith will be involved against Southampton, because it can't be that serious of an injury if he still flew out to Australia and he's still training but doing stuff with a personal coach. So I think there is a high chance that we could possibly see Sam Smith return for our pre-season game on the 2nd of August when we do travel out to the Netherlands. It looks like he's making good progression, and we can only hope that he will be in contention, of course, for that opening day fixture, because I keep talking about the opening day fixture. It's a massive one. It's Southampton. It's a blockbuster opening game, and we want to make a really big early statement. And if we are without key players like Sam Smith, Jack Marriott, Ollie Rathbone, it could be a bad first day. Finishing off with Jay Rodriguez. Now, Rodriguez is struggling with a foot injury. Phil Parkinson said he was still feeling it after he came on against Sydney. Of course, he missed that opening game against Melbourne Victory due to his foot injury. He returned for Sydney, came on in the second half, and Parky said he's still feeling it. Didn't make a return to the squad against Wellington Phoenix. He said it doesn't look a serious one, and he should be back in contention for our pre-season game, like Sam Smith were hoping in the Netherlands against Groningen. Say what you want about Jay Rodriguez, but if you're looking at him being out, Sam Smith being out, Jack Marriott being out, and Mo Farl again, he could be an option for that striking department this season. That's 4 strikers that could possibly be out injured, and if we are to see a couple leave, we're going to be very short up front going into the opening game, and possibly for the next 2 or 3 games. games, but I know Parky has a trick up his sleeve, and hopefully this won't be as big of an issue as it is at the minute. Talking now on pre-season, now Wrexham have confirmed that we will travel to the Netherlands to play FC Groningen in a pre-season friendly, which will likely conclude our pre-season going into the Championship season. The one disappointing thing about this is the fact that Groningen have officially said that they were selling tickets, and all the Wrexham fans are excited. I think they were selling 7,000 home tickets, but Wrexham fans are not permitted. Away fans cannot travel to the Netherlands for our pre-season game, which is disappointing because we've seen it's attracted quite a big crowd. It'd be a really good away day because, you know, we've travelled to America, we've travelled to Canada, Australia over the past couple of seasons, and it's not been financially possible for a lot of fans. And playing a game in the Netherlands, which I'm sure a lot of fans would have been interested in travelling to have this news, yeah, it's slightly disappointing. But again, we've got an away day in Southampton the following weekend, so I don't think there will be too many complaints on this front. As well, this will be a really good test for us because Groningen are obviously an Eredivisie side, and it'll be a good test for our players, as like I said, it'll be a week before our big opening day fixture away at Southampton, so it's a late test. It's good for a lot of players to get minutes, and it'll be good for the players to make a point to Phil Parkinson just 7 days before our opening Championship game, for them to say, I should be in that squad, and more importantly, I should be in that starting 11. So it'll be a good test for all those players, and it'll be a good opportunity for them to show Phil Parkinson, and yeah, it'll be a really good test just for the squad in general to get their fitness up and to get any last touches. And if Parky wants to tweak anything and sees anything that, you know, he might want to work on and develop against a big team like Groningen and see how it works out, then this is a perfect opportunity. Bringing you now some snippet bite-sized information. Now, starting off with transfer news, Wrexham-born Owen Beck has opted to move to Championship side Derby County on loan from Premier League giants Liverpool to reunite with former manager John Eustace, who of course he did work under at Blackburn Rovers. There was so much talk of Owen Beck possibly joining his hometown club Wrexham in the summer transfer window, but if we're being honest, I think this deal was completely off. Obviously, when we signed Libby Kakachi a couple of days ago, of course it'd be very greedy to get both of them in, but yeah, I think if we're being honest, and if I'm being honest, if you're looking at this, and yeah, you're going to say, oh, just because you signed him now, you're going to say that, but you're looking at Kakachi, we've signed him on a 3-year deal. Owen Beck would have been a straight season long loan, and if he'd have had such a good season in this Wrexham team, we'd have come to the end of the season and thought, that is a massive miss. At least with Kakachi, if he plays really, really well, registers loads of goals and assists, becomes our player this season, we know we've got him for another 2 seasons after that. So I think make what you will of this. Who would you have preferred, Owen Beck or Kakachi? I think a lot of people will be saying Kakachi due to the fact he obviously is on a permanent transfer. In my opinion, I'd have preferred that permanent move over a loan move, but again, beggars can't be choosers. Paul Mullin has scored his first goal in a Wigan shirt last weekend against Liverpool under-21s in a behind closed doors friendly. He's played a couple before that at Accrington Stanley. Of course, they flew out to Spain where he did make a couple of appearances but failed to hit the back of the net. But he's finally got off the mark in a Wigan shirt, and let's hope he can continue this goal scoring form as they of course enter the League One season in a couple of weeks time, and let's hope this is the first of many personally for Paul Mullin this season. And former goalkeeper and fans' favourite in the Wrexham team, Mark Howard, has signed for League Two side Salford City. At 38 years old, he's playing at a really good level for an ambitious side in Salford City, so really good on Mark Howard for obviously getting that good move. Of course, he said when he left Wrexham he's still got so much life left in him, and to be honest, this is a really good move for Howard. He'll be pushing for that number 1 spot. He played in a pre-season friendly yesterday where he played I think a full 90 minutes and actually kept a clean sheet against League One side Blackpool, so we wish him all the best of luck, and I'm sure I can speak on those words on behalf of every Wrexham fan. Now, this is where it kind of gets a bit interesting. Despite the signings of forwards Josh Windass and Ryan Hardy, it's reported that Wrexham Football Club will have 10 million plus to spend on a striker in the summer transfer window. We've got 16 days left until the season starts, so if we are going to splash £10 million on a striker, I'd like to think Phil Parkinson will like to get him in before that opening day fixture against Southampton. Now, if this is to be the case, and if Wrexham do have this really large sum of money to spend on a striker, we should really be looking at upping our expectations going into the Championship season. More importantly, if you're looking at this, if Wrexham get the right striker in who fits the profile of what Phil Parkinson wants, we could be well on our way this season. This kind of budget, Wrexham could be looking at getting players from all across Europe young, old, experienced, a lot of goals to their name in a lot of different leagues. We could have a really good striker on the cards. It's a lot of money to spend, don't get me wrong, and there is going to be a lot of pressure and expectation on said striker who will possibly sign for Wrexham. There's been a couple of names floating around, but like I said, there'll be a lot of pressure, expectation on them to perform, because it is a lot of money for a newly promoted side to spend on a striker. And if we have got this significant amount to spend on him, then it could be a big boost towards us surviving, pushing up mid-table and possibly even further. I'm not getting too ahead of myself, but with the signings and the rumours that we have had the past couple of days, it's going to be an interesting season for Wrexham Football Club. As well, we've never learnt to doubt Phil Parkinson over the past couple of seasons. He's had so many hits in terms of signings where players have come in, Wrexham fans have sort of been on the fence with him, but he's proved them wrong. He's got the best out of them in terms of bringing players in and them obviously fitting the system and performing under him. We've also seen as well Lewis O'Brien is close to joining Wrexham Football Club on a deal that is less than the £5 million bid that they did previously put in, so they can agree personal terms on a better level for O'Brien. Again, with the signings of Josh Windass and George Thomason, I thought the O'Brien deal was completely off. I thought it wasn't going to happen, but Wrexham Football Club are not holding back in the summer transfer window. We've seen Wales striker Kiefer Moore is apparently a target for Wrexham. Also as well, Sivert Mansverk remains in talks with Wrexham Football Club over a possible deal. Now again, it's another midfielder that could be added to the squad for Wrexham, which in my opinion sees, you know, the likes of George Evans possibly leave. Elliot Lee as well might be in contention to leave the club. There will be so many midfielders that will be forced to leave. You know, some of the players that have been here over the past couple of seasons completely out of the squad that we have to register at the start of the season. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation. Again, another young midfielder who would be signing from Ajax, who's had, you know, a good spell at Ajax, good spell at Molde, had a really good loan spell at Cardiff City, where of course they didn't succeed as a team, but he had some really good performances in his debut season here over in the Championship. So this again is one to keep your eye on. I think a deal will develop and progress as time goes on before our first game of the season. It is a very, very interesting transfer window for Wrexham. Such an exciting time to be covering this football club on YouTube. So yeah, that is the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts on Wrexham possibly having £10 million to spend on a striker. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure to subscribe, like, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video. Take care guys, up the filthy rich Reds.